So the topic is emotional intelligence, and I thought this is the need of the hour. A lot of so I will be covering these topics in today's talk. Pathologically, anatomically, we feel that we have one single brain, but on psychological perspective, the psychologists and the thinkers propose that there are two brains. One is the logical brain, the thinking brain, that's the actual brain that we talk about, the intelligent quotient, the IQ we talked about. And the another is the feeling and the emotional brain. And they propose that the emotional brain actually is more important than the logical and thinking brain. When you're an empathetic leader, you're emotionally intelligent leader, you tend to have a very good working environment rather than uh, being a stressful and burning out environment. So that's why emotional intelligent leaders are being sought after.
Namaste. Welcome to Yes Talks. The title of today's session is Deeper Understanding of Emotional Intelligence. And our guest speaker today is Ms. Palak Chauhan. Palak is an avid reader and a poetess with two published works to her name. Professionally, she serves as a policymaker at the Reserve Bank of India. She also leads a vibrant community of bibliophiles, learning and building friendships along the way. Welcome, Palak. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Yes platform. Looking forward to a lovely session with you. Over to you.
Thank you, Arunima for such a wonderful introduction. I'm overwhelmed and honored to be a part of this community and the platform. Thank you so much for inviting me here. A warm welcome to all of my friends and good evening to you all. Special namaskar to Pichlani sir. I am honored to be in your presence. So, few words about the topic and why I chose this. So, the topic is emotional intelligence, and I thought this is the need of the hour. A lot of emotional misunderstandings and quarrels and impulsive behavior happens nowadays, and hence I chose this topic. I hope I'm audible to you all. My voice is clear. All right, I'll begin the presentation. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yeah, perfect.
All right, thank you so much. So let's begin. So the topic is emotional intelligence and its application in everyday life. I got to know about emotional intelligence in my engineering days, and then I found this wonderful book by Daniel Goleman, and it actually paved way for many research. And I did a lot of research and understanding, and then I came across another book by Nupur Gosainji on emotional intelligence. And this talk is about these two books and my understanding in my personal life. So, yeah. So I will be covering these topics in today's talk. First is why and what is EI, emotional intelligence. Then the cornerstones of AI, that is self awareness, self regulation, motivation, and empathy. Daniel Goleman emphasizes on these four topics, and hence I chose to discuss this with you. The book is huge, vast, and it encompasses a lot of things, but I thought just to cater the audience and us in everyday life. Then AI in personal relationships, AI in the workplace, EI and mental health, and then finally, how can we be emotionally intelligent every day? So, this is the goal that we are thriving for being emotionally intelligent and benefiting others and ourselves along the way. So, So I am starting with the definition. The textbook definition of emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions. All right, we manage our own emotions and to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. So, in this overstimulated and consumption-driven world, we are seldom aware and seldom in view of others' emotions, and that actually creates conflicts and a lot of problems. And hence, AI and its importance that first we understand our emotions, what's going on in our life internally and externally, and how we are influencing with our emotions to our relatives, our friends, and our family. So this term was actually coined by Peter Salovey and John Mayer. They are journalists, and then it was popularized by their friend Daniel Goleman in his book Emotional Intelligence. He emphasized that actually the pathologically, anatomically, we feel that we have one single brain, but on psychological perspective, the psychologists and the thinkers propose that there are two brains. One is the logical brain, the thinking brain, that's the actual brain that we talk about, the intelligent quotient, the IQ we talked about. And the another is the feeling and the emotional brain. And they propose that the emotional brain actually is more important than the logical and thinking brain. So one writer, American writer Derek Sivers also says that if more information was the answer, then we all would be billionaires with perfect abs. So, if we would have a lot of information, of course, I would have been a perfect figure and with multiple digits salary. So, yes, that's not the case, and hence, emotional brain, emotional intelligence is important. Yeah. So, that's why I chose this topic because it's the need of the hour. We are constantly scrolling and overstimulated by a lot of digital devices. And in that, we tend to forget the emotions of others and even ourselves. Our emotions are also sidelined because we are able to see and just we are not able to process. So, hence the importance of emotional intelligence. So, I'll move ahead with the first topic, self awareness. This is the key and the important aspect in developing emotional intelligence, and hence the first topic of our discussion today. It is the cornerstone of emotional intelligence. What is self awareness? As the name suggests, being aware of ourselves, our feelings, what are we feeling, our thoughts, our core values, what are our strengths, our weaknesses, because they develop our whole personality. When we talk about strengths, we can leverage that. When we talk about weaknesses, they give us the ability to grow. Motivations, what motivates us, actually, what drives us. All these things are the inner inward selves of ours, and we should know them, and hence the self awareness. Being aware of our emotions, being aware of what we are feeling is the key in being emotionally intelligent. When we are aware of our feelings, will be more aware of others' feelings as well. So we also could understand our emotional triggers. What happens during argument and we are angry and we impulsively say something. So we should be aware like what is our trigger. Is someone defying you? If someone is not being obedient towards you, or someone is insulting you, or what thing triggers you? So these are the aspects, key points of self-awareness. Self-awareness regulates our emotional response, and that's what we want in this world to regulate our emotional response in this society and be in line with the societal norms, making informed choices and better communication of our needs and their needs of our friends and our colleagues and our family, and setting boundaries. So when we are aware that what actually triggers us, what is our boundary, we are able to communicate that a lot more, a lot better. And then we are able to set expectations with our, especially with our spouse or our family members. And that is actually right now the key point in conflicts also, that we expect something and we don't say that, we are not assertive enough, and hence the conflicts. So when we know that what we are expecting, by being self-aware, we'll be able to communicate that with our partners, with our friends, even with our colleagues. So the self-awareness, I hope I'm clear, I hope I'm audible, and you all are with me. Yeah. So the next point is self-awareness is different from self-consciousness. So self-consciousness is external focus. Self-awareness is inward focus. Self-awareness is focusing on yourself, your growth, and comparing it with yourself. But self-consciousness would be more about social comparison, what people will think, like सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग. So that's the social comparison, and then it leads to performance anxiety. कि if others, what others will think about me, whether I will be able to perform or not. So that is self-consciousness. Instead of being self-conscious, let's focus our attention towards being self-aware. Now, uh, in this module, at the end, at every module's end, I'll share how to develop that particular quality. So, developing self-awareness can be done by practicing mindfulness, being present every day, and in every moment you are practicing even simplest of things, being mindful of that. Journaling is a very good technique. We'll be discussing this in the later aspects, also later chapters as well. Then seeking feedback, this I learned recently only. Seeking feedback from our friends, from our colleagues, those who are our well wishers and those who want good from us, for us, we can seek them feedback from them, that whether I'm doing it right or wrong, whether my behavior was offensive towards you. So these things can be asked from a friend or a colleague or even a family member. Then self-reflection exercises. Self-reflection exercises include um, visualizing something, just creative visualization, or just writing it down. And practicing emotional awareness means we are being mindful of our emotions, each and every emotion. Like sometimes we don't know that why are we feeling like this, and we are not aware. And then we should ask ourselves few questions, that why am I feeling like this? क्या हुआ इस दिन पूरे दिन में कि मुझे ऐसा कुछ फील हो रहा है? So that is practicing emotional awareness. There are various self-assessment tools that I'll discuss later. Embracing the vulnerability. Um, Usually, would like to say about this. Usually, I did not practice this, like being vulnerable, and I learned it in recently only, that when you are being vulnerable, you actually are embracing your fears, your insecurities, and that is an important aspect of your life. All the positive emotions as well, but these as well. And that will help you gain insight about yourself, and hence being vulnerable, knowing that you're vulnerable on these circumstances and accepting it. That is a part of the self awareness. And then when you know your insecurities, your shortcomings, you can set the intentions for your growth in the later aspect, and the learning curve would be a more exponential. So I think this is self-awareness. I hope I was clear, and yes, I'd be checking in between so that you all are here listening. Yeah. Now, the second important aspect is self-regulation. This is a quite vast topic. I tried to cover it in a short span, but let's see. I hope I do justice to this topic. So, Self-control or self-regulation is the ability to manage one's thoughts, emotions, behaviors according to societal norms. So when we live in a society, we are a social animal. So we have to behave in certain patterns and certain rules we have to follow, and that leads to our behavior. For example, in the infancy stage and in the toddler stage, our emotional regulation, our self regulation is controlled by our parents. They teach us how to behave, they teach us what to do, what not to do in our life. Then, in the adolescent stage or pre-teen stage, our friends, our community, our school, our teachers, they tell us that, our self-regulation. They tell us how to behave in classroom or how to behave with friends. And then in the adulthood, in adult life, we are like now on our own, and then we are adapting towards the societal norms and changes, and that is a part of self-regulation. This self-regulation is actually a higher order cognitive process of the brain. For example, decision making, self-control. These things um, make the self-regulation. So when you are practicing self-control, when you are focusing, that is attention control, when you are having a desired goal and you're working towards it and resisting distraction, that actually resisting distraction is helping in impulse control. And control behavior also helps in impulsive control. And then we are able to adapt to changes. We are not feared by changes. A lot of the times, I'll give you an example. I got recently a different aspect, a different job or promotion in my office, and I am scared of that change. Even though the change is good, it's for my betterment, but still I am not able to gather and grasp that okay, I am now at this position and I have to do that. So obviously we resist change. We try not to go to that. So शाश्वत सब कुछ नहीं है, सिर्फ परिवर्तन ही शाश्वत है. So that is actually true, and we have to accept that. So hence, we should adapt to changes. Now, the emotional regulation. This is the cornerstone key point of self-regulation. Is the ability to like monitor ourselves, one's emotional responses. So if your boss is telling you something and you are responding it in a very insulting way, or you're angry by that, or if you're welcoming to that change, that okay, he is giving me something, a task to perform, and I am uh, grateful, or I am capable enough to do that. That is emotional regulation. That how we are able to modulate our emotional responses towards others, and it helps us. The emotional regulation actually helps us to manage stress, cope up with negative emotions, and finally maintain emotional balance. We will discuss more about emotional regulation in the next slide. I just put points here. Now, the impulse control. It was actually focused by Daniel Goleman as well. Emotional intelligence is focus focuses on impulse control as well. So, why is it that after a very bad day, we want to have chocolate or a cold drink, or after a breakup, the heroines are with the ice cream tubs and just savoring it? And why after a fight we tend to like shout on our spouse, or throw pillows at him, or tell him to sit outside or sleep outside on the sofa? So these are the emotional impulse controls, impulsive responses that we tend to do. So the self-regulation is the ability to resist immediate gratification and in pursuit of long-term goals. So this is the greater aspect of impulse control. We have always been taught by our parents as well कि 10th तक पढ़ लो फिर मजे ही मजे है, फिर 12th तक पढ़ लो फिर मजे ही मजे है, फिर engineering कर लो. So that is that ability to resist the gratification for 10th, for 12th, and finally engineering, and then you will get placed and you will be happy. So we are delaying the gratification in pursuit of our long-term goals. So that actually is very good for the students, even for us, but for students जो brahmacharya में है, that the learning phase of their life, and there they have to resist the temptation to for now scrolling and digital devices and all the temptations, and to focus on their goal कि एक मछली की आंख जैसे focus on their goal and in pursuit of that long term goal. So, impulse control helps in overcoming temptations that I told about cravings and binge eating, binge watching, binge scrolling. All these are the temptations, and impulse control helps in resisting that, resisting distractions. And we are able to make right choices that whether I should move to Instagram and scroll or whether I should have a book in my hand. So, this is the decision that you take when you're more self regulated. And then that actually attributes to your better academic success and obviously the psychological well being. All right. I hope I'm clear, I'm audible, and you all are listening to me. Yeah, I'll just take a photo break. Yeah. So the next part is self monitoring. It's part of the self regulation only. How self aware we are, like why I'm craving this or why I want to watch Instagram or Netflix. What thing is resisting me or keeping me from my goal, or whether I'm scared to pursue my goal, whether I am bored of that topic. Why is it that I want to scroll Instagram and not focus on the book? So that self monitoring, it actually helps in control and obviously adapting to change. Then emotional regulation. Emotional regulation, when you're emotionally regulated, these are the advantages. If you're emotionally regulated, you have greater psychological well being, you forge greater interpersonal relationships, you cope with stress in a better way, and you have a better decision making and problem solving skill. So, emotional regulation is actually the heart of emotional intelligence for me. When you are actually being self regulated and you know what to speak, what to talk, and about yourself, your emotions, that how you're feeling, you are more emotionally intelligent, you are more you behave like that, you behave in a better way, emotionally intelligent way. Now, mechanisms of emotional control. So this is a new thing that I also got to learn from this. I hope you'll also benefit. So mechanisms of emotional control include cognitive reappraisal. uh, so cognitive reappraisal is telling yourself, like if you are engulfed with negative emotions and you're thinking कि ये तो नहीं हो पाएगा मुझसे, this is impossible. So instead of that, you fill your thought with some positive thing, or you आप अपने दिमाग को तर्क दो, या you give your brain a logic in against your negative response. For example, like if I am there with the ministry and I am proposing a policy in front of the minister, and I'm thinking that I don't know anything, I am dumb and I don't know anything, and I'll just spoil this whole presentation in front of him. So that is going on in my mind constantly. And then I'll switch and I'll tell that I am capable enough to give that presentation. That's why he chose me. That's why the ministry or the Reserve Bank of India chose me to give that presentation in front of that dignitary. So this is how you change your negative talk to positive one and move ahead. So this is a cognitive reappraisal. I hope my example was fine. Then it's expressive suppression. So expressive submission means suppression means that this is actually less used, and it means to suppress your expressions toward in front of others, and for to be self-regulated or for the societal norms, but it is less called for and more usages of cognitive reappraisal. Then distraction. So we are focusing on the negative emotions, that if we are engulfed with overthinking or uh, like criticizing ourselves, we can actually distract ourselves from that negative thing to a positive thought. Then attentional deployment, deliberately focusing on the good aspect, deliberately focusing on your goal or the thing you want to do. That is the attention deployment, deploying your attention towards a very good thing or you what you want to do. And then obviously mindfulness and acceptance, that okay, I'm feeling this, it's fine that I'm feeling this, but um, I accept I accept my feelings and my emotions, and I'll work upon it. So this is being accepting. Now, how can we enhance self-regulation? So being emotionally aware, I've been telling this again and again, that being emotionally aware about how we are feeling, what is the reason of my feeling, and then that is the being emotionally aware. Then it's cognitive restructuring. So cognitive restructuring is included in this. What I said earlier about cognitive reappraisal. Like, first is acknowledging your negative thought, then transforming that negative thought into something else, giving yourself a logic that what you're thinking negatively is wrong. जो मैं सोच रही थी कि I have to present in some front of someone and I'm not able to do that, I am not capable, I'll counter that thought with I'm being chosen as that person because I am capable. That's the counter thought. And then going with this counter thought that yes, I'm capable and hence I am able to do that. So I'm emotionally regulating myself. If I'll just constantly think that I'll not be able to do it, I'm dumb, I won't be able to do that, I'll be anxious and constantly worrying about it. So instead of that, I'm telling that I'm capable, and then I'll move with that thought that yes, I'm capable, I'll be able to present in front of him. This is cognitive restructuring. Then stress management techniques, all the deep breathing techniques and meditation, talking to someone, seeking help, social support, going to a meeting or a social support group. These things also regulate us, are self-regulating. All right. I hope I'm clear. I hope you all are there with me. Let's move with the next slide. It's beautiful to see all of you. Most of are my friends. I love seeing you here. All right. So, as we discussed in the previous slide, we were discussing about the techniques of self-regulation. There was cognitive reappraisal that I elaborated. Then it was mindfulness, deep breathing, attention control. I said putting our attention on something, goal setting and planning. Like if you're worried about something, mostly it's about a task or your goal in life. You can write it down. You can set it. You can make a planner or a timetable, write it down and set your goal, and then you'll be less anxious and you'll be able to manage your emotions. Then planning, expressive writing. This is journal, expressive writing. Whatever it comes to your mind, just keep on writing and writing, and yes, you'll feel more relaxed. So I'll want to give an example. Like, I learned this from someone. Like when overthinking, you write. So whenever I am overthinking and I am not in a position to talk to someone, I start writing, and those write-ups actually become a part of my poems or become a part of my write-ups, and that's how I stop my overthinking. So expressive writing, then behavioral activation, social support, biofeedback, and self-monitoring. So these all of the things are I discussed it in the last slide as well. The behavioral activation means that how to manage your behavior or inducing a positive behavior instead of a negative one. Then social support means the support of the community. Biofeedback means your heart rate or with the devices you're able to control. And then self monitoring. आप कैसा feel कर रहे हो? You know best. Despite everyone, your friends, family, you know best whatever you're feeling inside, and that's what helps you to regulate. This is cognitive reframing that I said earlier as well about identifying the distorted thoughts, that negative thought I was thinking, then challenging them, then then generating an alternate interpretation that is I'm capable enough, and then testing it. Now, there are few cognitive behavioral techniques. A lot of you might know that. One was that I discussed the cognitive reframing is only cognitive restructuring. Then problem solving. Problem solving can also be induced, that you're given with a problem and how you're able to solve it without being stressed or anxious or without overthinking कि मुझसे होगा कि ये नहीं होगा. When you're faced with a problem and you're able to solve it, that actually regulates yourself and that actually prepares you for the challenging tasks ahead. Then assertiveness training. Assertiveness training is to tell people, if my boss is telling me something and I'm not able to counter it or not able to tell what I feel, so what will happen is he'll tell me something to do and I'll keep on doing it and not even rebut it and not even tell him that I cannot do it or something like that. So you need to be assertive, to set your boundaries, to know about yourself, and to tell them that this, what I have, whatever feeling I have, this is it. You are being assertive about your feeling. And time management. So time management here is written because of the stress. Like in the professional setting, when you are stressed about your deadline or work, usually this actually attributes to bad time management also. That if you are able to manage your time and your timetable, uh, you are prone to less stress. So that's why the time management is written here. This is the last slide for self-regulation. I hope you all are not asleep and listening to me. Yeah. So, relaxation techniques. So, we are at self-regulation. So, self-regulation may relaxing techniques like meditation, writing down, deep breathing, or focusing on the body and doing like yoga nidra. These are the relaxation techniques that you can follow during for the self regulation. Then lifestyle modifications, um, healthy lifestyle, clean diet, working out, movement, spiritual alignment. All these would be the lifestyle modification for you to be emotionally self-regulated. Then social support, being in a community, being with a like-minded group of people and sharing thoughts with them. That is also that helps in regulation. Then I told about this impulse control and delaying gratification. So the last point I'll discuss is developing coping strategies for managing stress or boredom. So tell yourself that if you're stressed, what will you do? Yeah, if you're bored, whether you'll move to scrolling, Netflix, or talking to someone, or painting, or being creative, or reading a book. So you strategize your actions. So that will regulate you. That is the self regulation aspect, that you control, you tell yourself that when I'll be bored, I have these things to do instead of overthinking, instead of binge watching. When I am stressed, I can deep breathe instead of just being anxious or worried about it. Or if the stress level is quite high, we can seek support and also an accountability partner. That okay, I'll not overthink at this duration. I have a friend with me, and she can guide me through that. So these are the coping strategies. These are the mechanisms through which you can self-regulate yourself. I hope these techniques. I know these techniques are not new to you, but we sometimes we also need a reminder, and these are the main points of self-regulating and emotional intelligence. So I hope you will get some insights and you will apply this in your daily life. Yeah. Now, so all the big slides are over now. It will be motivation and all would be small. So I hope you'll be there. All right. So I'll begin with the definition of motivation. Motivation refers to the processes that initiate, guide, and sustain a goal directed behavior. So we all know what is motivation. We pick up a habit when we are motivated. We when we are having a goal in mind and we are motivated to pursue that goal. And but that doesn't just mean that it's for few days. It should be able to guide and sustain our behavior as well. There are two types of motivation. Most of us might know this. Thank you so much, Beth. So, there is intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So, we will be discussing only about the emotional intelligence and motivation, not the whole aspect of motivation and that management part. So, intrinsic motivation is when you're motivated from inside, when your feelings, your inner self, आपका inner strength, inner self is telling you to do something, that is intrinsic motivation. And this happens when you are actually self-aware, when you know what you want in life, when you know what your goals are, what you actually want to be, and what is your spiritual alignment, how you want to feel, how you want to be perceived by someone. These are the intrinsic qualities, and that happens when you're being self-aware. So intrinsic motivation is like being self-aware. Then is the extrinsic motivation. That are the external factors. For example, if I am motivated by if someone would appreciate me or how the society views me as a person or as an individual, that will be the extrinsic motivation. And that is attributed to social awareness. Like लोगों को क्या पसंद है, how they behave, what is the community standard, that is my social awareness. And if I'm socially aware of that will actually enhance my uh, social value as well, and that will motivate me. That's my extrinsic motivation. Sorry for the pronunciation. Then achievement motivation, I like this. So achievement motivation will be for the achievers, like those who are like want to achieve the toppers of the class. They are self-managed, self-regulated. For example, if you are being at the topper of the class or you're topper of a readathon, or right now we had Swadharma. So you were self-managed. You had to wake up early. You had to read so many books, and that was your motivation to achieve something. We also walk or few steps, 15,000 steps daily. That motivation is to plant a tree for the community. So that's the achievement motivation for you. Then social motivation and relationship management. So social motivation is the same, that how you are able to uh, be in the society, and how you are able to perceive other person. Are you being empathetic? Are you being aware of their emotions? And are you able to guide them or to support them that yes, you're right, or reassure them? So when these aspects, these qualities um, culminate, the relationship management happens. And then finally, motivation and emotional regulation. That if you are being positive about, motivated about being positive and motivated about making people happy, you'll be emotionally regulated in that way. So in this book, there is an example. That's the first chapter's example. uh, there is a bus driver, and it's the New York summer is going on, and everyone is thirsty and sweaty, and everyone is irritated. So we all know, like where Delhi summers are there, most of us are irritated because it's so exhausting being in Delhi summers. So at that time, all the bus passengers were very sad, I would say irritated, but the bus driver was extremely happy and cheerful and like bubbly. Like, hi, how's your day going? And what are you doing? So As the passenger came inside, every passenger he greeted them with such delight and happiness. And it was found that all the passengers, those who alighted his uh, bus, were, when they deboarded the bus, they were happy. So when you are emotionally regulated and you want that everyone to be happy, you make changes to your emotions and you regulate yourself and make others happy. So I hope I'm clear with the example and everything. Yeah. All right. Let's move to the next topic. It's empathy. And yeah, Arunima ji, I'll be finishing it in like 15 more minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Is it fine?
Of course, of course. Please take your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So empathy's definition is the ability to understand, perceive, and share feelings, thoughts, and perspectives of others. This is the quality, this is the emotion that I resonated with the most. Empathy. Like you should be empathetic towards others, and before that, being empathetic towards yourself. So when you're being empathetic, you're understanding others, and when you're understanding others, and you build deeper connections, you forge great relations when you're being empathetic. um, and when you're able to understand, you're able to validate that person's feeling as well, and that actually makes that person also happy कि ये मुझे समझ रहा है, and then you get very good relation. This is a, this should be like focused on also relationships as well, the spouse relationships, that when the partner validates and respects, reassures your feelings, you actually build more connection and you are more respectful, more loving towards your partner. Then empathy also helps in conflict resolution. Conflict resolution usually can happen, actually conflicts can happen anywhere. But when it happens in a workspace or in your family, and when you're able to understand other people's perspective, you can reach a common ground. That उसको क्या लग रहा है, मुझे क्या लग रहा है. Like you have, you both have different perspectives. 6 and 9 can be seen differently from different angles. So when you're able to understand that I'm viewing it from a different angle, the conflict would be resolved, and that can be done only when you are being empathetic. Then I would just like to go through the three types of empathy for you to understand, and we can practice these three type of empathies in our daily life as well. It's cognitive empathy, emotional empathy, and compassionate empathy. So cognitive empathy is just knowing what the other person is feeling. You know that okay, he is being sad, or he's being not in a good mood. That's the cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy would be feeling that other person is feeling, and feeling the same kind of emotion that other person is feeling. And finally, the most altruistic, most higher level of empathy would be the compassionate empathy. That means you're wanting to do, you're motivated to do something for that person to elevate their pain, to make them feel better. That's the altruistic empathy. How you can practice empathy in daily life. So this I think is important for all of us. How we can practice that in our daily life. So active listening. So दो कान है एक मुंह है. So listen more. That would be the motto of being empathetic. Active listening. Being open-minded. Sometimes we are judgmental quite quickly towards others' opinions, and we don't know everything in this world. So if you're open-minded that okay, that some person might be right because of their perspective, their culture, you can be open-minded and know that. Then perspective talking, that okay, perspective of others. Like I always tell my one of my friend that you always look through the perspective of others, not me. So that's the most empathetic thing to do, that talking about other person's perspective and telling me. Then developing emotional awareness about yourself, that how you are feeling, and hence You'll able to understand how others are feeling, engage in communication and practicing self compassion. So one of the things that we all can do today and in our later days is practicing self compassion, being less critical of ourselves, being less judgmental of ourselves. Now, and the last would be sharing circles. So why sharing circles I have written here is when you're able to know other person's perspective, other person's point of view, you are more empathetic, you're more broad-minded. Then empathy mapping. Empathy mapping is imagining yourself in other person's shoes and behaving like that. Then cultural immersion activities, like being in other person's culture. So the North Indian might not know that why some people from South India are behaving like that. I'm just telling about the geographical differences. So when we are able to know about the culture, we are able to know about the geography, and we are able to know, okay, why this is why they are behaving like that. We would be more empathetic. And finally, reflective journaling. That why did I behave the way I behave today? Why that person is behaving like that? So being reflective and reflecting on our own thoughts and our behavior uh, helps practice empathy. I hope we can gain something from this and apply in our daily life. Yeah. All right. Now it's emotional intelligence in personal relationships, my personal favorite topic. So, when we are empathizing with our partner and validating their feelings, I discussed this earlier as well. It actually lessens the conflict. When you're able to reassure your partner what he or she is feeling, you are able to bond more and we develop a good quality bond and being emotionally available for each other. Then, emotional intelligence also includes empowering and encouraging each other for their goals, their life, and whatever whatever their goal is, you can adapt to that as well and look into their shoes, and behave and adapt to challenging circumstances together. So, like we said that about altruistic empathy, like changing, like feeling so much about that person that you want to alleviate their pain, you want to alleviate their challenges. So when you do that for your partner, that would be most empowering, most bond building thing, that you are being empathetic and you want to elevate his problem. And that actually also does in building trust and forging deeper connections. I hope I was clear. Then open communication, active listening. Open communication is whatever you want to, whatever you're feeling, you communicate actively. This is actually my drawback. I am not able to communicate openly with my partner, and that might create sometimes conflicts. That creates conflict, and hence I am trying to learn active listening, avoiding blame and criticism, being calm and respectful, and clarifying, and finally finding a win-win solution. I hope this doesn't need any explanation. Now, the last point of the slide is tools to enhance the emotional intelligence in relationships. You can journal together as well. You can emotionally label each other, active listening, empathy exercises, like how you are feeling right now, self reflection, gratitude journaling. Boundary setting means I don't like this. Can you not do that? Like this. And being assertive and relationships checking, that are you okay? कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं है? Are we fine in our relationships? So yeah. Next is EI in the workplace. So I want you all to imagine your most favorite world leader, and then I want you to imagine your most non-favorite world leader. Most of you, if you have imagined, we did not imagine them on the basis of on the basis of their IQ, but because of their emotional intelligence. because of how they behave in public and how uh, they call out in public and give all the sanctions and all those things. I hope you all understood what I'm indicating towards. So emotionally intelligent leaders are being sought after, not the IQ leaders. And leaders, those who are emotionally intelligent, make great teams, make great employees, and eventually make a great company. And hence, being emotionally intelligent in workplace is very important. If you are a leader, if you are a manager, this starts from being self-aware and being self-regulated that we discussed earlier. And when you're being self-aware, you're able to know that what you want from your um, subordinates and how you will be able to communicate with that, and that actually builds a better leadership, better rapport with your colleagues and with your subordinates. Effective communication, so as our leader will communicate with peers or the top tier or the bottom tier, that helps in conflict resolution as well. And then when you're communicating a shared vision, you are able to build inclusivity. You're able to know ki, okay, that person behaves in such a way, that person's likes or strengths and weaknesses are such a in this way, and that way you'll be able to lead and take your team to heights. And then last is managing stress and burnouts. When you're an empathetic leader, you're emotionally intelligent leader, you tend to have a very good working environment rather than a uh, being a stressful and burning out environment. So that's why emotional intelligent leaders are being sought after. This is the last slide for today. I hope you all were there listening. So being emotionally intelligent every day. So this is our goal. इतना कुछ हमने जो सीखा पढ़ा अभी स्लाइड्स में, दैट्स फॉर our day-to-day life, that how we can be more emotionally intelligent, how we can be more mindful of other people's emotions and our emotions. So for that, the first thing is self-awareness, and the key in self-awareness, in building self-awareness, for me as well, is journaling and meditation. So when you are journaling, you are jotting down your thoughts. When you're meditating, you are focusing on your thoughts and you're being with yourself. And when you are being with yourself, you know a lot of things about yourself जो आपको पता ही नहीं है. And this happens when you're journaling. Journaling के 20-25 days के बाद you'll get to know कि okay, I was thinking so many things. I didn't know that. So the self-awareness के कुछ key points are for journaling, meditation, mindfulness, and practicing empathy, checking with oneself, setting our growth intentions. Suppose we want to build a habit, so we can set a goal, growth intention for ourselves. And when you are checking it with yourself, you can do that every fortnight. You can just write down, how am I feeling right now? What emotions I'm experiencing? How can I best support myself at this moment? So these are few questions that you can just ask yourself, and you'll be surprised that you'll get such wonderful answers from yourself. That okay, ये सब हो रहा था मेरे अंदर and I was not able to know. Then emotional regulation exercises can be deep breathing, meditation, and stress relief toolbox. This is a toolbox, a small box that you can tell yourself कि जब मैं stressed हूँ तो मैं ये सब कर सकती हूँ. Instead of a toxic environment, instead of scrolling and binge eating, you can have a positive stress relief toolbox. Then empathy building, being actively listening. So from today's talk, I think we can take away that we can be active listeners, and that is the starting point of understanding others' point of view. And then stress management, identifying the source of stress and create a daily or weekly self-care plan that I have. Okay, weekly and self-care pampering plan is very nice for stress management. I'll recommend everyone. So yeah, thank you so much for this. I hope you were able to gain few insights.
Thank you so much, Palak, for your insightful talk. I'm sure the perspectives that you shared and also the helpful reminders, all of that have deepened our appreciation of the role that EI plays in both personal and professional growth. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Participants, we are opening the session for Q&A. If you have any questions or anything to share, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself, raise the hand and unmute yourself and speak up, or you can drop your messages in the chat box and I can read it out. Yeah, Amy.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Uh, Palak, when you started your presentation, you mentioned that when we are aware of our emotions, only then we'll be able to understand the emotions of others. So, well, it's very simple, but so well said because, it is believed that only when your cup is full, you can share. You can share from a full cup. You can't share from an empty cup. So it is very essential to take care of yourself first. And the presentation definitely, reinstated the fact that one needs to be taken care of by one's own self first in order to be able to do something for the others. So, thank you. It was a lovely presentation.
Thank you so much, Anujit.
So we have a question in the chat box. Aditya asks, could you elaborate more on how to use the toolbox to regulate emotions?
So the toolbox is the stress regulation toolbox. You set a set of things that make you happy, relieve your stress during a stressful situation. And that toolbox would be made when you're not stressed. So you just plan and prepare that if I'm stressed for something, uh, what are the things that make me happy? For me, it's music. For me, it's like practicing sadhana, like doing sa, like sa लगाना ही मेरे लिए मैं खुश हो जाती हूँ. It's my stress relief activity. I love to sing like that, and one of it is writing poems also. So these things help me regulate my stress. You can have or a stroll in the park or talking to your loved one. These are the stress relieving things instead of um, binge watching anything or binge eating anything, or instead of like moving towards junk totally. You just are mindful towards your box and you take out activity from that box and you do that. So, yeah, I hope I was clear.
Thanks, Palak. Ruchi, you were saying something, I guess.
Thank you, Palak, for the beautiful talk as always. Your talks are always amazing, and so are your presentations. I loved, and my key takeaway today was building up more of self-awareness. We tend to build up a lot of self-control, considering that this is emotional intelligence, but we forget about the awareness part of it. So the entire drive of control actually the seed is the self-awareness. So, and I also loved the practical toolkit that you gave that, create a weekly toolkit for yourself that how to self-pamper on your emotional part. Um, Loved every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruchi.
Utpala ji has raised the hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Palak, it was a very good talk. And uh, often we see, persons who what we feel that they are emotionally not normal and they need support, but they are not ready to believe that they need support, and it's very that is what is a challenging task, that how to convince them that you have to, I mean, you have to follow, you have to take the help, and even the suggestions from the partner or their close friends are not taken. Sometimes they don't have friends also. So I think it's more challenging. But if you can suggest some things for such difficult cases.
Amazing question, Balaji. Thank you for asking this question. So, when you are with a person who doesn't want to uh, go for emotional help, or like, you should not, like, it's my suggestion that we should not tell them that you need help. We should tell them that one thing, there would be things that they like, there would be things, and some, we don't want anyone to tell us what to do. हमें भी नहीं पसंद आता कि कोई हमें सिखाता रहे कि ये करो वो करो. So don't tell them you are in need of emotional support or something. You just tell them that whatever thing that makes them happy, something like a less toxic thing, like not TV or a digital device, but like stroll in the park, or if they don't have any friends, just gazing the sky, anything. And when that will happen, they might feel happy in bits and pieces. And when that happens, and when they're a little bit emotionally regulated, you can tell them, okay, now let's do journaling or let's write something. So they'll then be aware of their thoughts कि अच्छा ये चल रहा है मेरे साथ. So we are being focused on making them aware themselves instead of telling them तुम ऐसा करो तुम ऐसा करो. They'll understand कि अच्छा ऐसा चल रहा है मेरे साथ. But उसके पहले they have to have a very nice thing with them जो वो रोज कर सकते हैं, like sitting in the sun or anything. So thank you. That's
In positive, mind frame,
yeah.
can start.
या मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम व्हाट हैपेंस इज वो भी फेड अप हो जाते हैं कि तुम क्या क्या सभी मुझे बोल रहे हैं ये करो ये करो. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट जो उन्हें पसंद है वो करते हैं और उनके तरीके से उनको हील करते हैं, लाइक दैट.
Right.
थैंक यू.
Dr. Bijlani, sir, would you like to share your thoughts, please?
Thank you, Palak, for a very detailed and comprehensive talk. You are an engineer by qualification, and we found in your talk all the nuts and bolts for emotional engineering, engineering of a different sort. A long time back, I had attended a talk by Daniel Goleman, and one of the things that he pointed out was that emotional intelligence is basically about being a successful person, not about being a good person. But all the same, if you think about it, a person who is good will also have emotional intelligence. And it may not be a concept which is primarily designed for being a good person. It's more for designed more for how to be successful. Nothing prevents a person from being good along with having these characteristics. And if not only that, if you find actually most of the characteristics which you find, particularly empathy, is something which needs understanding the emotions of others. So understanding that emotions and then behaving in a way as if you have understood is something which can be put on. It can be like a drama, because you know that that is what will improve my relationships and will therefore improve the chances of being successful. But all the same, if sincerity is lacking, somehow or the other in a long-term relationship, it will show up. Because for a short period, you can put it on and maybe deceive somebody. But in a long-term relationship, your empathy, whether it's genuine or not, will somehow be revealed, and uh, that's something which is going to happen. So it's not that being emotionally intelligent does not mean that one person doesn't have to be a good person. In fact, if the person is good, his emotional intelligence will be more genuine and sincere rather than an act which has been put on. Then you talked about the two brains from a psychological point of view, the feeling brain and the thinking brain. It's not only from the psychological point of view, it is also true from the biological and the spiritual point of view. The two are related in a way because when it comes to the brain, it is only a channelizer of the consciousness. And if we have something coming from the universal spirit, which has to be shown or manifested in the person, appropriate structures have been provided in the brain. And the fact that the emotional intelligence or the part of the brain which deals with emotions is dominant and came earlier is something which is well known. Psychologists as well as biologists know that the part of the brain that channelizes emotions evolved much before the thinking part of the brain, because it has great survival value. Uh, you know, Survival needs not only the capacity to be able to live, but also the urge to live. Because the organism may have the capacity to live, but if it is not motivated to live, it will be just lazy, it will not look for food, it will not try to protect itself from its enemies, and the organism will die. So the urge to live is just as primitive as the capacity to live. And as soon as the brain started forming, the first thing that happened perhaps was to develop emotions so that now the emotions could be linked to that urge to live. Because when the animal, detects food, it runs to it because it can anticipate the pleasure it will get from food. And when the animal is hungry, it is miserable and it notes that this misery will go only when I find food. So emotions are linked to survival itself and are much more primitive. Not only that, probably for a collective survival, feeling the emotions of others is equally important. And that's why you find that in the primitive part of the brain itself, there are also what you find mirror neurons. That is, the neurons which get activated in response to the feelings of another person. They mirror the other person's activity in the brain. So mirror neurons are the biological counterpart of this. And from the spiritual point of view, of course, we have that universal spirit of which we are all the manifestations. And therefore, the division between individuals is only a partial division. It has a significance, it has a value, but at the same time, a deeper reality is our connectedness rather than our separation. So this is something which is deep rooted, and when we talk about emotional intelligence as being necessary for being successful, it's only part of the story. And what we have to sort of see at a deeper level is that's a reflection of a much deeper truth, that we have to be aware not only of our own emotions and be able to manage them, we have to be aware also of the other person's emotions and manage it sincerely, realizing that the other person is not really the other person is also me. So realizing that interconnectedness is what completes the picture of emotional intelligence.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
once again. And
Thank
you
you
are
so
a
much, sir.
bibliophile. That's again a very rare species because less and less people are reading books and are fond of books. So you are keeping up that value of books. So very grateful to you and your whole community of bibliophiles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I was looking forward to your insights and I was excited. I was told by Chidananji as well and other friends that the last part is the best part. And so I was waiting for it. Thank you so much, sir. It was wonderful. And
Thank you, sir.
we would love you to be the part of the bibliophiles and enlighten us as well. And it's an honor, sir, to be in your presence. Thank you.
Well, the last part is not always the best, and the last part can't be there without the first one. You might have heard of that joke that in a train, the last compartment is the safest because if there's an accident, then in headlong collision, then the last part is not affected much. So somebody said, why don't they make a train in which only the last part?
Very true.
So, yeah, before we close today's session, let me quickly inform that the recording of today's talk and all Yes Talks are published on our YouTube channel, Yes Spirituality. You can visit the channel and explore extensive content on yoga, education, spirituality, and related subjects like psychology and wellness. Please do explore the channel. Palak, thank you so much once again for sparing your valuable time and your expertise with all of us. And participants, we thank you all for being with us today. We'll close today's session now with a moment of peaceful silence. Namaste.